Drop everything. All new. All over. A bold new look.
Hey, it's a beautiful Wednesday in Uxbridge, and today I'm going to go meet my older brother Mike. He's not that old. A while back he had suggested that we meet up in Salem. Yeah, we moved to Salem around 1962. It was definitely one of the more interesting places we've ever lived. So there's 5 kids in the family, 4 boys, 1 girl, and when we were living in Salem, Julie came along, and once we left Salem and moved to New Hampshire, Matt came along. There were the 3 of us, Mike, me, and John, 3 wild men. It was in the day when you could just go off on your own. Your parents didn't have to know exactly where you were. At the time we didn't realize it, but it is an absolutely beautiful historic city. And when we lived there, it was kind of like a little bit more run down than it is now. Lots of stories. Just he and I walking down to the movie theater. There are 2 or 3 movie theaters right on the main street, Essex Street. So my mother gave us money to go to the movies. We left walking down the street, and the first movie theater we got to was showing House on a Haunted Hill. We went in and watched House on a Haunted Hill. Actually, we didn't get too far into it because when I started crying, the usher asked us to leave, so we had to leave early. We got out of the movies early, and my mother said, well, that was a really fast movie. Ballroom dancing lessons. So we took ballroom dancing lessons together in downtown Salem, so we walked down there. We had to wear jackets and ties. Girls had to wear white gloves. And we learned how to foxtrot and waltz and all that good stuff. And we really were exposed to a lot of things we might have never been exposed to before. So we were very lucky. And while we were living in Salem, so we'd gone out to a drive-in restaurant where you drive up, you park your car, you're talking to the speaker, and someone comes out and gives you your lunch or dinner. If you said, Woo Woo Ginsburg, you'd get another hamburger for only a penny. So I told my dad to do this, and he thought I was just kidding. It was, in fact, what I heard on the radio.
That's how I was right.
Adventure Car Hub does it again. Order the sacks full of burgers or tubs full of chicken. I'll say Woo Woo Ginsburg and get a 45 extended play album. Today, Adventure Car Hub.
In Saugus, undressed just as you are.
So Woo Woo Ginsburg was a big radio DJ around Massachusetts at that time, back in the early 60s. Also, while I was sitting there, they come over with 2 45s. One was I Want to Hold Your Hand by the Beatles, and the other was Playing the Field by Tony Conigliaro, who was a Red Sox baseball player, who later got hit in the eye with a baseball and had to retire from the game. Mike and I, when we were growing up, it was just he and I for a few years, and I think we created a particular bond during those years that is pretty unique. He's a great guy. And so yeah, there's a little bit about our living in Salem and my relationship with Mike. Well, let's get going. So we made it to Salem. Now Mike and I are walking by these old houses where we used to hang out with friends. So we're going to meet some neighbors.
How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Hi.
Nice to see you too. Mike Malloy, my brother Tom.
Hi.
We're walking through the neighborhood, remembering we lived here for a number of years when we were kids.
Said you lived behind
We raised hell.
Yes, on the corner of...
Did you sell to the Marys?
Oh, my parents did in 1965. I don't know who they sold to.
Oh,
It was a few owners ago. If you see Peter Hinchey, I haven't seen him.
I will tell him.
He came to visit us a couple of times
Did
when
he?
we first moved to New Hampshire, yeah.
I'll tell him.
We were that close of friends back in the 7th and 8th grade.
So this must have been during a time in our lives when Dad was making a good income and felt confident in purchasing such an expensive location, I guess. He really went through a lot for us.
He was burdened with an MIT degree. And I think if it had been an engineering degree from Boston University or almost any place else, they wouldn't have such high expectations.
He's loud. I'll go over here where it's not so loud. So this used to be Eaton's drugstore. When we first moved to Salem, this store had the old-fashioned soda fountain with the carved back, the mirrors, the marble top, the amazing dispensers for all of the sodas and whatnot. And then on top, one of the shelves, all it was mortar and pestle collection. And a rather old bunch of ladies, I guess, behind the counter, as I recall, right at the end of Chestnut Street. It's an amazing street. You like working on these historic houses?
Yeah.
Yeah? That's pretty cool.
Done, you know?
Yep.
You look good when you're done.
Yeah.
Looks
A lot of
very
work,
good.
though.
Oh yeah. It's a lot of wood.
A lot of wood. Right down here marked the end of my paper route.
Huh.
Right down here at the church. There was a rectory.
Oh, the church. I remember this church because John and I went in there one time, just out of curiosity. The door is unlocked. So we walked in the church, and we walked up to a confessional booth, not knowing there was a priest on the other side. And he said something like, "You're going to go to hell for this," or something. We might have tried a little holy water too, I'm not sure, on the way in. But we were awful. Instead of getting a hot lunch today, I think I'll eat candy. If I'd walk down this way to the penny candy store. I used to come down here and get a pack of cigarettes from Mom once in a while for a quarter. The lady behind the counter would say, "These for you?" Whoa, it's not a candy shop anymore. Bye-bye.
So you want to walk to the school?
Yeah, we'd come out.
That's the basement door right there.
We come out of that basement door
Yep.
at recess, and once in a while, if we're lucky enough, we get to play softball or wiffle ball, whatever it was, with the guys that spent their entire day in the wood shop downstairs in the basement, most of whom had beards or mustaches, and having a fight with a boy in the basement because he wanted to just push me around, so I pushed his head into a urinal, and suddenly I was the hero, and he wanted to be my friend. Since we have so much history, we even have a fire alarm still.
Going to Salem with us. But one with 10,000 tickets.
So this is the backside of the Salem Athenaeum. It's a private library. Don't know much about the history. It's definitely early 19th century federal period. And we were members here when we first moved to Salem. But we come to story time and all that. We get books out and all. And it was right next to our house. Amazing. And this is where we lived. 345 Essex Street. They changed the number.
Make it more.
A little highfalutin. Backyard the size of a postage stamp. Even smaller now because they have a deck. In Mrs. Marchand's house, her long dress and her hair done up in a bun and her glasses. This street brings back memories because my brother had a newspaper route, and once in a great while I'd have to ride it for him because he was going off to Boy Scout camp or something. And man, were there some unusual occupants that lived in these places. The woman that would invite you in for a Coke, dressed in her nightgown. Mr. Tracy's house. He'd come to the door wearing a smoking jacket after 5. Here's the space between our houses. I've always loved this garage. Really unusual. It doesn't match any style of house near it. It's really cool. This is where they were repairing a stone wall.
Right here.
Right along here, Brother John came along with his wagon, collected up as many bricks as he could, and sold them for a quarter apiece somewhere to someone.
I don't know if it's a house or not.
I wouldn't be surprised. And this is the place that had the chow dog.
Oh boy.
Now watch out for the dog. James
Sit up on
Bott.
the porch and
Riding our bikes back and forth, up and down, all day long almost, on Chestnut Street. Our English bikes. We advanced.
Raleighs.
Yeah,
How's
3-speed.
the neighborhood did?
It is.
Which way?
This way?
Let's go down this way and then we'll walk up the other side.
All right. Sammy Johnson lived here. Beautiful, beautiful house. This room right here is enormous. It's like a ballroom almost. And his mother used to say things like, now this was the late 60s or mid 60s, "Catsy, that's so catsy." And she wanted to be groovy. I remember her distinctly.
I remember those wiffle ball games in his backyard.
Yeah,
He had a backyard.
He sure did, yeah. He ended up going to St. Paul's School.
Oh, did he?
And I remember going up the chairlift one time with some girls who were from St. Paul's. They just started allowing girls to go there. I said, we moved from Salem to New Hampshire, and they said, oh, do you know Sammy Johnson or something out of it? It's like, yes. Yes, I do know Sammy Johnson. So my friend Bobby Bustede used to live in that gray house. And I'd come down, we'd hang out. He went to a different school. I don't think any of my friends went to the school I went to. Hamilton Hall, right?
Right. Beautiful.
So that's Hamilton Hall. You know, when we lived here, we didn't realize how historic and how meaningful this place is. Right down the street is a school where John used to walk to school every day on his own, about a half a mile away, maybe. They don't do that anymore. All right, where to next?
Are you hungry?
I am hungry. Time for a bite to eat. Straight ahead is the Ropes Memorial House. Next to the Ropes Memorial House is where Mrs. Parker lived. And Mrs. Parker was of the Parker brother game family. Every Halloween we go to her house and she would give us all a shiny new dime. Okay, this is where I opened up my first bank account when I was a kid with my passbook. You have to carry around a little book with you all the time. And then they'd stamp it and tell you how much money at the bank. Yep. Sweet. Ride down here, my little red bike, got my first album, Mary Poppins, using my allowance. I was so excited. This is where we used to come down this street, which used to be all, traffic, was not pedestrian back then. We'd walk out here a lot to the museum, the PBS museum. We'd really taken advantage of that a lot. And it exposed us to a lot of the history of the area, the East India trade. We would have had no idea if it weren't for this museum. Oh, is that the witch? Oh, that's who it is, Elizabeth Montgomery. That seems a little more Hollywood than I would have expected.
Right in the spot.
Wow. Huh. I'll be damned. The site of the famous Gerber's restaurant, which is no longer. Gone. Nada. Forgotten. So I ordered the Barcelona because I thought that would be fitting. Thanks a lot. You too.